On Global TV News Prime, Tinubu issues powerful warning to Nigerian content creators, others. In business, federal government eyes additional 810,000 BPD crude from deep water fields. And on the foreign scene, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda agree economic framework outline as part of peace deal. In sports, Senegal suffers injury blow ahead Nigeria clash. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Priscilla Obasi. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigerian digital content creators and young innovators to lead the country into the future with integrity, creativity, and a deep sense of patriotism. Addressing participants at the Digital Media Summit in Abuja, the president emphasized the transformative power of new media in shaping national development, while highlighting the growing impact of digital platforms in civic engagement and economic opportunity. Tinubu described young Nigerians as the builders of the future. The president urged digital creators and influencers to go beyond trends and use their platforms for problem solving, employment generation, and national building. President Bola Tinubu has praised religious leaders in Lagos State for fostering harmony and peaceful coexistence among people of different faiths, describing their efforts as a major pillar of stability in the state. The president gave the commendation during the ordination of the new spiritual head of the Saviour's Ministry Worldwide, Cherubim and Seraphim Church, Alausa, Ikeja, Baba Aladura Prince Benga Adeniran Aluko, represented at the event by Bishop Stephen Adebite, Executive Secretary of Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, NCPC. President Tinubu expressed appreciation for the support and prayers offered by religious bodies to his administration, while assuring Nigerians that the temporary hardship currently being experienced in the country will soon give way to relief, citing the series of reforms being implemented by his government. Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria will consider backing Congo's candidates for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations. Director General post following a diplomatic visit from Prime Minister Anatole Colinet Makoso. The Congolese Prime Minister, who met Shettima at the presidential villa in Abuja, formally presented Firmin Edward Matoko, a seasoned UNESCO official with over 30 years of experience, as Congo's nominee. Shettima, speaking on behalf of President Tinubu, the Vice President said the request and President Denis Sassou Nguesso message will be duly relayed to the Nigerian leader, while reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to African cooperation and regional peace. Moving on, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced that the 2025 Continuous Voters Registration, CVR, exercise will begin nationwide on August 18, 2025, with online pre-registration preceding in-person enrollment. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu made the announcement during a courtesy visit with the National Orientation Agency, confirming the registration drive aligns with preparations for the 2027 general elections. The Commission's chairman urged Nigerians to register early to ensure broad electoral participation. Nurses and midwives under the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives have maintained their ongoing 7-day nationwide warning strike, rejecting government's claim of suspension after negotiations with the health minister reached a deadlock. However, the association says it has agreed to review the federal government's latest proposal over the nationwide strike demands, including increases in shifts and uniform allowances. The union's federal health institution sector says it will reconvene today to assess the government's offer before finalizing its position. The Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, has issued an advisory urging Nigerian travelers to strictly adhere to visa purposes when using United States visas, after concerns were raised by U.S. authorities over visa misuse. The government cautioned that violating visa terms, such as overstaying or engaging in undocumented activities, could result in deportation, visa revocation, or bans. The NIS stressed ongoing scrutiny of visa holders even after they enter the U.S. and asked nationals to respect immigration laws globally. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, reports that flooding in 2025 has claimed 165 lives, with 119,791 people affected across 19 states, triggering displacement and disruptions. The disasters, which include collapsing infrastructure and farmlands, remain among the worst responses this year, prompting urgent calls for expanded disaster risk preparedness. NEMA continues to deliver relief materials and coordinate responses in affected regions. Abuja is a city meant to reflect order and modern development. The sight of cows roaming freely on major roads in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, is raising eyebrows. Residents are questioning how cattle continue to move about in an urban center where open grazing is officially discouraged. Our correspondent, Ubongu Soro, brings us this report.
Abuja is Nigeria's capital. Sadly, you see cows moving freely on the roads, even near the National Assembly. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has publicly discouraged open grazing within Abuja for several years. The FCT, being the seat of federal government, is expected to serve as a model for urban order and policy enforcement. Official statements from FCTO, especially since 2021, have emphasized a transition to ranching and restricted movement of cattle within the city center. However, there is no specific federal law that criminalizes open grazing nationwide, including in Abuja. Instead, enforcement depends on administrative measures and area councils' bylaws. Despite policy declarations, open grazing continues in many parts of Abuja, even around high-profile areas such as Airport Road, Gwarimpa, Sokoro, and Central area.
The issue of cattle roaming the streets of Abuja is quite unfortunate, and I think it's something the government really needs to look into. The current trends that has to do with cattle rearing globally is ranching. I think what we lack in the country currently is the political will to do that.
For me, I feel it's an environmental threat, because when they move around, you see them dropping their dogs everywhere, and also it's not safe for motorists and passerbys, and the government needs to look into it. Abuja Environmental Protection Board and the Ministry of Health and Environment should also come together and do something about it.
A motorist who spoke to us complained bitterly about the discomfort caused by these cows on the road.
If I'm driving, see cow inside the town, it is payment, living payment, something like here is a capital. Even though it's not a capital, even though a state, it's a city of state. The cow is not supposed to be crossing TT express like this. The thing is payment. So unfortunately, Minister of Abuja is supposed to do something about it.
The FCT minister pledged to end open grazing and announced plans to allocate lands for ranching within the 6 area councils. However, it seems this has been discontinued.
To see how we will stop. We cannot allow cows inside the city. They can be outside the city. What is it supposed to do? Because the grasses are outside the city. The grasses are not here. These are grasses we planted to beautify the city. It is not that one that they will eat.
As residents continue to express frustration, the question remains, how long will Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, continue to host cows on its streets? For now, the animals continue to share the roads with vehicles and pedestrians unhindered. Ubong Usoro, Global TV.
Governor Umaru Bagu of Niger State has ordered the shutdown of Badegi 90.1 FM in Minna, accusing the station of broadcasting content that incited public unrest and breached broadcasting ethics. Speaking during a state APC caucus meeting, Bagu also directed that the station's license be revoked, sparking concerns from rights group. Amnesty International Nigeria has since condemned the move, calling it an attack on press freedom and a dangerous precedent for democratic governance. The Benue State House of Assembly has recommended the 6-month suspension of the Tupol local government chairman, Maxwell Ogiri, over allegations of financial misconduct, abuse of office, and undermining legislative processes. Speaker Hyacinth Aduna Dajo stated that recommendations followed widespread consent over misappropriation of funds, council dissolution, and intimidation of lawmakers. A 5-member investigative panel has also been asked to probe the allegations further. Moving on, the House of Representatives is pushing for the establishment of new technical and vocational colleges across the country as part of efforts to tackle Nigeria's high youth unemployment. Lawmakers say equipping young people with practical skills is crucial to addressing the mismatch between education and job market. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick brings us more.
At a public hearing in Abuja, the House Committee on Federal Polytechnic and Higher Technical Education emphasized the need for innovative strategies to empower young Nigerians. Chairman of the committee, Fred Lagunda, says the goal is to equip youths with hands-on training, technical expertise, and entrepreneurial skills that match today's workforce demands. The hearing focused on 3 bills: the proposed Federal College of Entrepreneurship and Skills Acquisition in Zaki Biam, Benue State, the National Institute for Technical and Vocational Education in Borogo, Bauchi State, and the Federal Vocational and Skills Acquisition College in Ilaro, Ogun State. Lagunda says these institutions will promote self-reliance and economic growth by producing skilled technicians and mid-level professionals.
They seek to promote entrepreneurship studies and skill acquisition to empower Nigerians with the skills to become employable, create jobs, and excel anywhere, particularly in their various constituencies.
Declaring the hearing open, Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, represented by Awalu Gwandabe, says over 55% of Nigerian youths are unemployed or underemployed, largely due to a disconnect between formal education and the labor market.
We must therefore equip our youth with practical skills that will enable them to thrive in an ever-evolving technologically driven job market.
The House says the bills align with its legislative agenda and will improve access to quality technical education nationwide. Annie Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. When News Prime returns, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, agree economic framework outline as part of peace deal. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you are just tuning in, this is News Prime on Global Television. Now we go to the business news. The federal government has unveiled plans to unlock an additional 810,000 barrels of crude oil per day from Nigeria's deep water oil fields through a new cluster of nodal development initiative. The initiative, championed by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, is part of a broader effort to revive the country's offshore oil production, which has suffered a steep decline in recent years. This will significantly strengthen the country's revenue generation capacity and improve compliance with OPEC plus production quotas. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has officially transferred the regulatory oversight of the electricity market in Nasarawa State to the Nasarawa State Electricity Regulatory Commission. The announcement was made via the Commission's X handle, stating that the development is in line with the amended Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the provisions of the Electricity Act 2023, which empowers states to regulate electricity generation, transmission, and distribution within their boundaries. In a country where the internet connects millions of jobs, education, health, and other opportunities, the rising cost of data may become a setback to national development. The galloping cost of internet connectivity, which affects nearly every Nigerian, the silent impact might be unimaginable if proper policies are not put in place to regulate the sector. Our correspondent, Sadia Yakubu, takes a look at the high cost of data and its impact on Nigerians. The report.
Today is no longer news that Nigerians are struggling to survive in the midst of numerous economic challenges, with mobile network operators in the country systematically passing on operating cost of data consumers. In addition, the sudden increase on the cost of data subscription has gradually but steadily driven business, particularly those in the micro and small brackets, to the bricks. At the height of this, questions are being asked to determine major factors driving this astronomical cost increase. We speak to a cross-section of Nigerians on the streets who share their views and experiences on this issue.
See, it's not that easy for us. So, like 2 years back or 3 years back, when they use data, they enjoy the data. If you even buy like 5,000, you go use and they do watch YouTube, watch this. But now, just like I said that they use straw, they suck the data.
Telecommunications operators recently made a strong case for an upward review of tariff cutting across calls, text messaging, and internet data services. These developments drawing criticism from subscribers as expected, seen at least 50% increase in this regard.
The cost is becoming so much that the normal Nigerian will not be able to afford. Please, the government should help us reduce it, and I think by that way, most little business that is trying to come up can go up.
Apparently, access to affordable internet is directly linked to economic growth, education, as well as success to robust healthcare services. It is often said that when people cannot afford data, they may not also be able to access knowledge, find remotely work, or sell online. As the maximum goes, the cost of data is the cost of opportunities.
It's crazy, especially when you're using an iPhone. The data finishes on time, but at least on Android it's still manageable. But an iPhone user, no.
The digital world is here, but how many Nigerians can truly afford to be part of it? The cost of data isn't just about Naira and Kobo. It's about access, equality, and the future. Let's push for a Nigeria where everyone can connect without going broke. Sadia Yakubu here, Global Television.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says the compressed natural gas policy is central to Nigeria's energy transition agenda. Speaking at an investigative hearing in Abuja, the House raised critical questions on the pace, safety, and impact of the compressed natural gas policy rollout. Our correspondent Anita Patrick brings us more.
The House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says Nigeria's compressed natural gas policy is not just about clean energy, but a pathway to energy security and economic diversification. Represented at the hearing by Sada Soli, the Speaker told the ad hoc committee on CNG policy implementation that while the initiative offers a cleaner and cheaper alternative to petrol, Nigerians must feel its benefits.
The essence of this public hearing cannot be overstated, as it reflects our legislative commitment to transparency, accountability, and effective policy implementation.
Chairman of the committee, Ahmed Jaha, described the policy as bold but warns that it could fail without transparency and effective oversight. He listed key concerns, including uneven distribution of conversion centers, safety issues, and lack of public awareness, urging data-backed submissions from stakeholders.
My concern is the infrastructure that will be available to service these cars that are converted. Sustainability is the most important thing.
Project Director of the Presidential CNG Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, says 300 conversion centers now exist in 24 states, up from just 7. He noted that 2 staff had been dismissed from misconduct, reaffirming the initiative's zero tolerance for corruption.
You agree with me that if we had started awarding contracts to build conversion centers, we will probably not have 20 of them in Nigeria today in 12 months, because they will have to go to tender, they will do the bureaucracy, money will not come out, and you know how that story evolves.
The Ministry of Petroleum, NNPCL, Federal Road Safety Corps also threw their weight behind the CNG transition and urged the National Assembly to legislate certification standards, train inspectors, and strengthen compliance across the country. Anita Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Now go to the foreign scene, where the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have agreed on terms of economic cooperation in several sectors as the two countries move towards delivering on a peace deal signed in June. The tenants agreed to summarize a regional economic integration framework, which includes elements of cooperation on energy, infrastructure, mineral supply chains, national parks, and public health, according to the State Department of the United States, which brokered the deal. The matter is said to be a preliminary draft of the framework has been agreed, and there will be an input period to get reaction from the private sector and civil society before it is finalized. The Reuters news agency reported this. And still on the foreign scene, Ukrainian drone strikes have killed at least 3 people and wounded 2 others today in western Russia. Regional governor said as a fire broke out at an oil refinery in central Russia after it was hit. The region's governor, Oleg Merchikhenko, wrote on his telegram adding that 1 woman was killed and 2 others wounded in an attack on the enterprise in Penza. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military said it struck Russia's Raven oil refinery on the Saturday, causing a fire on its territory. United States President Donald Trump says he has ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions in response to high provocative comments by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. Trump said he acted just in case those foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Medvedev has recently threatened the U.S. in response to Trump's ultimatums to Moscow to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or face tough sanctions. And now we go to sports, where Senegal have dealt a major blow ahead of their opening fixture against Nigeria at the 2024 African Nations Championship following injury to their first-choice goalkeeper Idris Ndaye. Ndaye has been ruled out of the competition after failure to recover in time from the injury he sustained in the final of the Senegal Cup. Head coach Souleymane Diallo has been forced to hand late invitation to Cheikh Ndoye as his replacement few days to their opening fixture against Nigeria. And still in sports, Ajax defender Juro Hato has signed a 7-year deal with Chelsea today. Fabrizio Romano confirmed the signing, noting that Hato signed a deal after completing his medical with the Premier League West London club. The Blues are now expected to officially release a statement to announce Hato's signature. And finally in sport, French prosecutors have called for PSG's and Morocco's defender Achraf Hakimi to stand trial over the alleged rape of a 24-year-old woman in 2023, a charge he firmly denies. Authorities say Hakimi invited the woman to his home in Boulogne-Billancourt while his family was away after their pair reportedly met on Instagram. Despite her refusal to file a formal complaint, prosecutors pressed charges, citing evidence on non-consensual advances. While the judge will decide whether the case proceeds, Hakimi's lawyer has described the prosecution's stance as incomprehensible, while the accuser's lawyer welcomed the developments as relief. And here we end Global TV News Prime. But before we go, let's take a recap of our top stories. We told you President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigerians' digital content creators and young innovators to lead the country into the future with integrity, creativity, and a deep sense of patriotism. In business, we told you the federal government has unveiled plans to unlock an additional 810,000 barrels of crude oil per day from Nigeria's deepwater oil fields through a new cluster and nodal development initiative. On the foreign scene, we told you the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have agreed on terms of economic cooperation in several sectors as the two countries move towards delivering on a peace deal signed in June. And finally, in sports, we told you Senegal have been dealt a major blow ahead of their opening fixture against Nigeria at the 2024 African Nations Championship following injury to their first-choice goalkeeper, Idris Ndaye. And that is it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using the handle @GlobalTVNG. I am Priscilla Obasi. Thank you very much for watching. Good evening.